Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video, and it is pretty late at night right now, but we are currently in the middle of the Double Elixir Global Tournament. As of the time of this recording, there is just under a day left of the tourney, and so today I'm going to be making a video playing some live games using 3.0 Xbow Cycle. I made a post in my community tab, and a lot of you said that you would be interested in a live video showcasing Xbow Cycle in the Global Tourney, and so I'm going to be doing just that. Now it is noteworthy that the format of the tournament is Double Elixir mode, which means that games do start straight away in Double Elixir. There is no Single Elixir mode to fall back on, which means that it's only natural that we're going to be seeing much heavier decks in this tournament compared to normal battles. It is incentivized since there is no Single Elixir mode, where some Cycle decks, especially Xbow in my opinion, do shine. Xbow does certainly have some matchups where it's best in Single Elixir, and so it is going to be more difficult, but I would say Xbow is still viable. One example of the heavier decks that I'm talking about is right here. I played a match just over an hour ago, and it was Royale recruits with Fireball and Arrows, and so you're going to be seeing a lot more of these kinds of decks in the global tournament, just because, again, like I said, there is no Single Elixir mode to fall back on, and so a lot of these heavier decks are going to be having an easier time since a lot of them are a bit worse off in Single Elixir compared to Double and Triple. But with all that being said, I'm going to be playing some Xbow Cycle. I'm playing Electro Spirit instead of Ice Spirit, because I do think it's just easier to play with overall. You don't have to worry as much about bats, since it's guaranteed to chain to all of them. It's better against Graveyard, and it's just overall pretty nice to have, not really stressful to use compared to Ice Spirit, where the timing and placement is more important. But that's about it for the intro. We're going to be playing some games and trying to get to 15 wins, which will unlock all of the rewards. We are currently 10-0, which is a pretty good start, and so let's do our best and get on with the matches. So we found the first match against Kratos from Free Company. Let's try and find out what he's going to be having. It's going to be a bit harder since it is Double Elixir. Not sure if there's going to be as much time to kind of feel out what the opponent has, but we're going to try. He's going to have archers, so it could maybe be a Cycle deck. I'm not sure. He has Ice Spirit, so this could actually be an Xbow deck, and it is going to be an Xbow mirror match, but he is going to have Ice Golem, which means it's going to be 2.9, which is a really old version of the deck. Now this is not the best situation, because my Xbow is obviously pretty low on health, but I was able to defend his Xbow and actually didn't take any damage. So this matchup is interesting. They do have a faster cycle overall. He's going to go for an Ice Spirit and Xbow, so I'm going to go for a Knight and Tesla. This should fully shut down the Xbow. He is going to go for an Ice Golem, so I'm actually going to go for a Fireball, and he's going to have Mega Minion too, which is also interesting. I don't believe I've seen Skeletons from him yet, actually, so he could have Mega Minion in place of Skeletons. That would be interesting. He's going to go for Archers in the same lane. I'm actually going to go for an Xbow, since that's a pretty big commitment. He might have... Okay, he has Inferno Tower here, which is why I played my Knight. It was kind of just a preemptive Knight to predict any sort of building, most likely going to be a Tesla considering it's Xbow, but it was Inferno in this case. And we do know that he has Inferno now, so I'm going to keep up the pressure, considering he's probably not going to be very high in Elixir. He's going to go for an Xbow, but I would say our Knight is better than his Ice Golem in this situation, considering it can counterattack as compared to the Ice Golem. Our Xbow actually does DPS down his Xbow, and he was forced to Fireball, and we still get a connection, which is really great. Now, he doesn't have Fireball in his immediate cycle, so I'm going to defensive Xbow. He went for an offensive Xbow anyway, so it worked out pretty well. And my Xbow actually targets onto his, which I'm a bit confused by, since he should probably be defending this Xbow. Actually, that Xbow is... I just realized it's probably out of range, which might be why he let it die. But I'm going to go for an Xbow opposite lane, since he has all that troop spam in the right. Don't really want to play into it. And he's going to have Inferno Archers. I'm going to protect my Xbow a little bit here. And I can actually cycle back to another one, so he might be forced to Fireball this. And he's actually going to Fireball my King Tower. So I'm going to assume that means he gave up. Let's see if he actually does, since a lot of players do, unfortunately, like to fake give up, which is kind of annoying, since if you're not prepared for it, it can actually catch you off guard, so be careful of that. But looks like he did actually give up, and this is actually pretty good for us, because if you guys didn't know, these global tournaments are tie-broken by crowns. So if two players in the top 1,000 have the same amount of wins, then the tiebreaker that determines who's going to be placed above is based on who has more crowns. So it's always nice to get a 3 crown. Pretty nice first game. it was an interesting version of Xbow. Unfortunately, this is why these versions of Xbow don't really work as well, because this deck is probably going to be pretty good against something like Golem. I mean, he has Inferno Tower, he has Mega Minion for DPS, but against other Cycle decks, it just doesn't really work, because Mega Minion doesn't do that much. I mean, it does a fair amount, but I would much rather have a Tesla, and Inferno Tower also doesn't do a lot compared to a Tesla, so overall, I would just say that this deck is fun, and definitely something that is enjoyable to play. In fact, I might play something like this in the Road to 100 12-in Classic Challenges series, which you can also check out on my channel if you're interested. But I would say that just normal 3.0 Xbow Cycle is a lot more of a stable deck, and just a better bet against most matchups overall. But pretty nice first win. Let's keep it going as we find the next match against Mateus Werner. So I'm going to probably split archers and see what he's going to have, as he's not going to really make a first play. He's going to go for a tombstone, and that is honestly a really low tombstone. So I'm actually going to Xbow and try and find out what he has. He's going to have a bowler, which was actually placed really low, so I'm actually going to log it back. He's going to have lightning. This is actually looking really bad, to be honest, because I think this is going to be giant lightning with tombstone. And if you couldn't tell, this is going to be a really bad matchup because of the fact that he has bowler as well, which is another tank for the Xbow, but we'll see what he has. And he's going to have Royal Giant, actually, so Royal Giant Lightning. He has Barb Barrel, though, which is, I guess, a saving grace. I'm going to go for archers to DPS down this RG, and he is going to go for a bowler. I'm going to go for a knight to block for the archers, which should be pretty helpful. He's going to go for a tombstone, and I'm going to go for an Xbow, since RG should be out of cycle, hopefully. He's going to go for a Mega Minion, and he is back to an RG, unfortunately. So, going to have to let this Xbow die, and he actually might lightning my Tesla. So this is the situation where I'm going to be using an anti-lightning Tesla, which is just going to be this placement over here. I'm going to log all of this back as well, since the Barb Barrel will take care of my archers, and he's going to go for a Musketeer. So I'm actually going to fireball it. He has lightning as his main source of getting on my tower, which can be annoying. He's going to go for an RG again here, and I'm going to have to go for another anti-lightning Tesla, because if I go for a lower one, he's going to get lightning value on my tower, and I definitely don't want that. This bowler is also going to be pretty frustrating, actually, to deal with, because it kind of means I can't really build a great push. Bowler just does such a good job at shutting down Xbows, and he does have a tornado, actually, so I'm going to have to log this back. Unfortunately, the bowler is going to get 2 hits on my tower, which sucks. I'm going to fireball that, since that is a lot of fireball value. And I kind of want a defensive Xbow, but since I have a feeling he's going to go in pretty soon, I'm actually going to knight, and there he goes. He goes in. So another anti-lightning Tesla. Let's see if he goes for lightning this time. As he does not, I'm just going to log everything back. And now I'm going to reset with a defensive Xbow. I want to fireball the bowler, but I don't think it would be worth it, since I would still need to deal with more than half of its HP. And as you can see, he's getting pretty ready to make a push right now. So it would just be a pretty bad fireball if I made that play. He is kind of feeding my defensive Xbow, though, and this is really good for me. He's going to go for a tombstone, and E-Spirit might hit tower. It does not, unfortunately. This time I am going to fireball the bowler, just because I have archers DPSing it down as well. And the fact that defensive Xbow is still somewhat alive, and I'm going to go for an anti-lightning Tesla again. Now, he might lightning my tower, and that would honestly be a fine play considering how much I committed, but looks like he's actually not going to. And he might be getting back to an RG here. He's going to stack a bowler, and this is starting to look pretty scary. Going to have to cycle back to a knight to tank for my archers, so I'm going to do that now. I hope that bowler doesn't hit my tower, and it does, unfortunately, but I can go for an anti-lightning Tesla again. And let's see if he goes for lightning. Looks like he is not really... He goes for lightning there, and he gets a hit on the tower, but he's going to be pretty low in elixir, especially after a lightning like that. So I'm going to try and log this tombstone, maybe get a connection. He is, unfortunately, going to be back to a bowler right now, so I'm going to go for a knight to predict it. And he goes for an RG, but it's late, because he didn't have enough elixir at the time, so that's really good for me. He's going to go for a tornado as well, but Knight Archer's DPS down this RG so fast. And he is going to be in Spell Cycle range, actually, so I'm going to defensive Expo, not really going to be rash and start the Spell Cycle too early on. Especially because he's probably going to make a push pretty soon. So Barb Barrel, going to go for Skeletons up high. and go for a knight like that. And I am going to go for another anti-lightning Tesla. It would be a pretty good play if he went for a lightning on both my Xbow and Tesla. But he did that, but as you can see, my archers still DPS down the RG really fast. Archers are a great card for DPS overall. And now I can actually cycle back to a Fireball, since Fireball, I believe, does 207 damage at Tournament Standard. And so that is going to wrap up the game. So that was honestly not an easy matchup. But the fact that he had Bar Barrel actually helped out quite a lot, because if he had something like a log, he would be able to keep up with damage, and I was able to kind of slowly log cycle him, but I would still say this is a pretty bad matchup, and pretty glad I was able to win it actually. So nice win, 12-0, we get a free lightning chest, so let's actually just open that up, and I already have a max print, so I'm going to reroll that. And pretty decent free lightning chest, so let's keep it going, 12-0 against another match from a player whose name that I don't believe I can pronounce, so I won't. Just gonna give him the good luck back. And he's gonna try and activate King, but unfortunately for him, he is going to fail in that attempt. Gonna split archers into his Mega Minion, and Mega Minion doesn't really tell me a lot. The fact that he has Furnace as well actually doesn't tell me too much either, since I was expecting it to be some kind of maybe Lava Hound deck, but the fact that he has a Lumberjack now makes me think it could actually be a Royal Giant. And it is actually going to be Balloon. I guess LumberLoon was also pretty obvious. So we're just going to go for a Tesla here, and let's see if he supports this with any spells, but it would probably be a bad play, so he won't. We're going to Xbow here. I'm probably going to let this Xbow die, but I just want to find out what he's going to have, and he's going to go for a Guard's Mega Minion. So I'm going to go for a Knight, and Xbow locks on the tower, so he has Freeze, and so I know that now. And he's really low on Elixir, actually, considering the fact that he had to play that Freeze and a Lumberjack after. So I'm actually going to Xbow again, because he's definitely going to be pretty low on Elixir. I'm going to go for a Balloon, I'm going to Fireball it back. If you guys didn't know, this is a play that you can make as well. His Bar Barrel actually missed my Xbow, so we get a really big connection there, and that is really good, just a really good start. I'm going to Tesla in the middle here. Now, you will notice that this Tesla will not pull a Balloon from either lane, but you can change that. You can pull the Balloon into your Tesla with either an Xbow or a Firewall. I'm actually going to Xbow since he's building up quite a big push in the right there. Don't really want him to create a huge push, so I'm just going to try and divert his attention with this Xbow. Very happy to let it die, but just notice how it was able to force out his Balloon, and I believe Mega Minion 2, or Guards, or I believe that's what he played. I honestly don't even remember, but there are the Guards again. I'm gonna log them back, and this Xbow will actually lock onto tower. So really nice Xbow push. Sorry if the commentary is pretty boring. I'm pretty tired, honestly, but still trying to play well. And we did actually take that tower really low. So he's going to LumberLoon. Definitely going to have to let this die. I'm just going to log the Lumberjack back to buy some time, though. Especially because I want to take care of the Furnace. But Tesla, again, will do just fine. And we are primed to walk away with this win. I'm going to Expo again because we have a surviving Tesla, just to keep up the pressure. And if he goes for a Balloon in the left lane, I can just pull it into my other Tesla with another Tesla. He's going to go for Bar Barrel Lumberjack, just going to log Skeletons, and that actually deals with it really well. He's going to freeze, so I honestly could just Fireball, but assuming his tower wasn't low in HP, I would Expo here. And as you can see, he was literally at 0 Elixir. He couldn't even get his guards down in time. So just knowing how to count your opponent's Elixir, really useful, and in that situation, assuming that I didn't have his tower in Fireball range, I would have been able to just Fireball. I would have been able to just Expo the way I did and get a nice connection. So just a pretty nice win against LumberLoon there. For those of you who don't know how to deal with LumberLoon, hopefully that was some help. We're 13-0 now, so let's keep it going. Only 2 more wins for the Flawless. 15-0, which hopefully we can get, but we found a match against Cosmo from, looks to be a Mexican clan. So I will probably cycle my log first before archers, since I think it's a bit safer. He's going to go for Inferno. I'm actually going to archers same lane, and this way we can find out if he has arrows or some other spell. And I'm going to Expo opposite. He's going to Archer Queen. That is actually really good for me, considering he just spent 5 elixir. Yep. So that was actually pretty lucky, to be honest, that I went for an Xbow. He didn't have enough elixir for his E-Giant. I'm going to Tesla, though, because I want this E-Giant to get DPS down. Archer Queen actually gets DPS down, too, and he surprisingly lets his Archer Queen die. I was actually ready to Fireball it back, but he didn't even use the ability there, which is interesting. I'm going to Fireball this Inferno Dragon, just because archers will take it out as well. And that was probably a pretty aggressive play, but I can just let this Xbow go, and I'll be fine. Gonna go for skeletons off to the side to tank for the Goblin Brawler a bit, then I have to go for an Electro Spirit to pull it into the Tesla. And really good situation for me. I'm actually gonna keep the Xbow pressure up, because I have a surviving Tesla, and I just want to force that elixir. So as you can see, he's forced to play 9 elixir into my Xbow, and I can just let the Xbow die. Archers for the Queen, log this Goblin Brawler back, and I'll go Skellies just to be safe, but I took no damage there. I'm going to go for Tesla now, and E-Spirit will force. Yep, E-Spirit forced out the E-Giant. It is double elixir, but I still don't think he's going to have enough for lightning in time. So I'm going to wait for him to lightning, though. He actually chooses not to lightning my tower, which I find interesting. He is going to get a decent tornado, but I'm just going to be able to Knight and Tesla afterwards for the Inferno. Notice how I went for a Knight first instead of just going for a Tesla, because I didn't want the Tesla to get taken out by the Inferno. I wanted to stay alive, and as you can see right now, it's providing defensive support on the field, as compared to if I played it earlier, where it just would have died. So he's going to E-Giant in the left. I had a feeling about that, which is why I went for an Xbow in the right, even though you'll notice that I have less tower damage in my right-hand lane. And he actually goes for a lightning there, and predictive NATO, I guess, but didn't hit anything with it. And his tower is actually only at, I don't know how I even got that damage, but I'll take it. He goes for an Archer Queen. I'm actually going to Fireball it. Goes for a Barb Barrel too, and E-Spirit to catch the Barb Barrel. I always say this in pretty much all of my videos, but you really should learn how to catch Barb Barrels. They're very important, and as you can see there, if I didn't catch that Barb Barrel, would not have gotten me as much value as I did from my Xbow. And I'm actually going to Xbow opposite, even though the game is pretty much over. This is the situation that I would go for, assuming this was a normal match, and not assuming that I wasn't going to be able to just log to take his left tower. This is the Xbow I would have gone for, and he might lightning it now, but that's fine. I'm just going to Fireball. Let's actually see if we can sync this up, and fortunately I was not able to. I'm actually never able to do that, where I'm about to take both towers and I have to hit one with a spell in time. I'm pretty bad at that, so that is unfortunate, but really nice win against E-Giant there. A lot of people think E-Giant counters Xbow, and it's actually the opposite. Xbow usually counters Electro Giant, because Tesla is such a good building against Electro Giant, and even though Tesla was nerfed, it is still doing a pretty good job against E-Giant, I would say. Also, the fact that you have archers to DPS down, and they're going to be forced to go Tornado because they can't really kill your archers. And I would say that that matchup, and just Xbow versus E-Giant in general, is a pretty good matchup, except for the new version that has Earthquake. That is really annoying. But other than that, E-Giant is usually good for Xbow. So we are 14-0 now. Really nice start. Let's go for one more and try and get a nice win to end the video off. And we found a match against Nameless, who is not in a clan, so I guess he's also clanless. Probably going to cycle log first play. It is a bit risky though, because I don't want to go against a log bait player and have to cycle my log first play. That would be unfortunate. I am going to Xbow his Barb Hut, and he's going to Fireball, so I'm actually interested in if this is possibly going to be spawners. And if it is, I'm going to be really happy, because I haven't played against spawners in such a long time, and I'm actually pretty happy about this. I'm going to go Xbow, even though it's a bit aggressive, and Knight to predict his cannon cart, and he actually doesn't have a cannon cart, which is interesting. I'm going to Fireball, and I did miss... Actually, I didn't miss the Zappy, so decent Fireball. He's going to go for the ability now, so I'm going to log everything back. This should actually be a connection right here, as he's forced to Fireball. And I guess he's not going to have a cannon cart, because I feel like he would have used it if he did. But he's going to have Goblin Hut and Furnace, which is double spawners, and this is usually a really good matchup for Xbow, actually, believe it or not. Especially considering the fact that spawners were nerfed now, which means, as you can see, my Fireball just pretty much took out his entire spawner. And it is going to be Royal Recruits, which is actually kind of annoying. But I believe this should still be a pretty good matchup, so not too worried about it. Tesla is getting good value here, and the Spear Goblins are going to be annoying. Those I'm going to have to watch out for. I'm going to go for a Tesla here, and I want to fireball that furnace, but I have a feeling that he might go flying machine. So I'm going to hold off on it for a bit, and I will fireball it now since it looks like he's not trying to flying machine. Usually what happens is they try to snipe your flying machine. They try to snipe your Tesla with a flying machine. Looks like it wasn't the case with my opponent here, but he's going to have recruits now, and this is going to be a pretty scary push to defend, actually. I do have Fireball, which is going to be really nice to get nice value here. And I'm going to have to worry a bit about Skeleton King ability right now. So, going to log. I logged because I had a feeling he would go for the ability. He did not. But in any case, not a big deal. We are kind of even in damage. I believe he has Barb Barrel and not Log, which means that I can still outdamage this deck, of course. Especially in triple elixir time. I just need to sit back and defend, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. As you can see, I'm not even going for offensive Xbows anymore. I did go at the start, just because I like to be aggressive sometimes, but it's not really worth it. Especially considering they're going to start stacking spawners. You're going to need all the defensive resources that you can use. So I'm going to go for a Tesla again. I can't really go for a center Tesla because of the fact that my other Tesla was still alive, but that's fine. I'm going to fireball this Barb Hut, and Goblin Hut, and I'm going to try and get back to another fireball. Let's see if he goes recruits here. And he does not. He goes for a flying machine, and I am back to a fireball now. So I will fireball, and he was forced to waste his Skeleton King ability, and that is actually a lot of skeletons, but it doesn't even matter since I was able to defend it just fine. So I'm gonna have to defensive Xbow here, I feel, because he has a lot of spawners on the field right now. Pretty problematic, and I don't want to play risky at all. I'm gonna split archers, I guess, because I don't really want to cycle knight. And I'll play knight now that he played a Skeleton King. He goes for a flying machine, which I'm definitely gonna fireball. And he goes for recruits now, so I'm gonna wait for the Goblin Hut to pop and then go for my log. Look how much value that log gets. Gonna go for an E-Spirit to catch the Barb Barrel. And he might pop the Skeleton King ability here, but it honestly wouldn't even be worth that much, and I'm going to fireball his flying machine. Not going to mess around with it at all, just take the fireball value when I can, and defensive Expo again. By the way, notice how I'm going with this defensive Expo placement. It is pretty low, and the reason for that is so that I can go for a Tesla as well. If my Expo was higher, I wouldn't be able to go for a Tesla. If I played it, for example, one more to the right and a bit higher, so that's just why I'm doing that. This is the matchup. This is the placement that I use in a lot of spawner decks and recruits in general. Usually so that I can also fit a Tesla on the map. So basically it's just so that I can start defending a ton. He is going to go for Skeleton King. I'm going to fireball the flying machine. Unfortunately for my opponent, his Skeleton King doesn't even see light of day and gets taken out before he can even use the ability, which is pretty unfortunate for my opponent here. But I'm just going to go for a Tesla. This is a lot of spam. But I have 3 archers on the field right now, which is really good at dealing with this. And I tried to fireball just now. For some reason it didn't come down, but that's not even a big deal, considering the fact that I was up by about 700 damage. So we're able to take a really nice win against Spawner's recruits. And he has Skeleton King, so this deck would be extremely frustrating for some matchups. I'm going to be honest. This double Spawners, I would not really want to play against that with something like Electro Giant, for example. That would just be a world of pain, and I would not be interested in that. But with Xbow, as you can see, it's very much doable, and I would say this is still a pretty good matchup. Again, especially because of the Spawners nerf. Although, because of that nerf, you don't really see Spawners at all anymore. But I do still remember how to play against them, and I guess that came in handy against that matchup. But against Spawners, you really just want to sit back and defend. In this situation, I probably could have gone for offensive Xbows if I wanted to, but at the end of the day, it's really about just getting the win. And if you offensive Expo too much, you could get punished for sure, and so you don't really want to risk going so aggressive. And so I would say that in this situation, it was actually worth it to just play super defensive the way I did. And he didn't have a cannon cart either in this deck, which is really good. Normally they run cannon cart, I guess in place of recruits, or maybe Skeleton King, and it is a pretty good counter against Expo, but in this case he didn't have one, And so I really only had to use my Knight on the Skeleton King and sometimes some recruits. But really straightforward matchup. Just know your defensive Expo placements, know your Tesla placements, know how to spell cycle with your logs and fireballs, and don't mess around with the flying machine. Definitely don't mess around with that. I would not recommend that. So I fireballed it pretty much most of the time. But you can also snipe it with Tesla if you want. But yeah, that's going to be the video, guys. That's going to be a really nice and clean 15-0, no losses, 30 crowns, which is interesting considering I'm playing Expo. But I'll take it because, as I said before, crowns matter a lot in this kind of format. But yeah, that's going to be the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're able to learn something. I did want to get this video out. As I said, it's pretty late at night right now for me, so I'm really tired. So I do apologize if the commentary wasn't that great. But I did want to get this video out before the Global Tournament ended, because I know I uploaded a few Global Tournament videos before where they were a bit after the Global Tournament ended, and I don't really want to do that since I know a lot of you like to watch it as it's coming so you can get tips and everything so that you can use them while you play the tourney. So I hope this was able to help you guys. Let me know how you're doing in the Global Tournament, if you're playing Expo, if you're playing something else. Completely understandable if you're not playing Expo, considering it is Double Elixir, and so there are going to be many heavier decks in the Global Tourney. But I do, as I said before, I do believe in Expo, even in Double Elixir, and so, yeah, I was able to make it work today, and it was fun. But that's going to be the video, guys. Honestly not sure why I have Rocket on my profile, because I didn't even play a single game with this deck. But I digress. That's going to be the video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Take care, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.